The Jigsaw murder took place in March 2009, which shocked the nation and baffled police. In the horrific murder, an investigation across 2 counties with 100 police officers involved, a team of scientists makes some startling discoveries about the natures of the crimes. This murder is different to many others. It's the calculating coldness of it, and the skill which is chilling. This is the story of how police pieced together evidence of the Jigsaw murder. Southgate, on the outskirts of North London, a suburban residential area. It was here that Jeffrey Howe, a kitchen salesman, lived. He lived in a shared 2-bedroom flat. His family described him as a funny guy with a heart of gold, but it was his good nature that would lead him to an eerie demise. March 2009, he vanished from Southgate without a trace. Jeffrey Howe was reported missing on the 16th of March by a friend. 30 miles away, a grisly discovery was made that would shock the nation. On March the 22nd, a farmer was going about his daily routine and found a horrific discovery on his 500-acre plot when he noticed a bag on the field. He retrieved the bag and unzipped it to find wrapped in a builder's plastic, where he felt suspicious of the finding and called the police. They met him at the site and approached the bag and felt around the bag to discover a foot. The police cordoned off the area and the village until the next morning. What was unusual about the findings was the scale of which the foot was removed from the body. Such a clean cut it had thought to have been an amputation. The murder investigation was launched and it was called ABNET. Extensive research was done on the foot via DNA analysis, but there was no match come back. March 29th, 27 miles away, a left arm was found on a divert country lane in Wheat Hampstead. The investigation started to slow until a human head was found on the 31st of March. This was when the police knew that they were looking for a seriously skilled murderer. Sue Black was called in to determine the gender of the body parts. The police then released a public appeal for help on this case. The police and the forensics were working tirelessly on this case. Further body parts were found. A right leg and a torso were also found in a suitcase. The torso had key information as it revealed the cause of death, a stab wound to the back. The police now knew that all the body parts that were found all belonged to the same victim, but they still couldn't identify the victim. The debris from the body parts were analysed to determine the last environment of the deceased. The tape used to conceal the body parts were analysed for fibres. The fibres collected were examined, but wasn't useful until the victim was identified and the location of the other body parts. A few days later, some more body parts of the deceased turned up. This gave the police a small idea to go off. They gave Asian, mixed heritage, 5'6" to 5'7" in height. A member of Jeff's family made a call to the police due to the circumstances of his disappearance. This made him a potential victim. Officers were deployed to his address. The police then spoke to his tenants, Stephen Marshall and his girlfriend Sarah Bush. Steve and Jeff had worked together in a kitchen fitting business. Steve fell on hard times, so Jeff let him stay with him on his spare room until he got himself together, on the agreement that he would pay rent on the time that he was living there. A severed head was discovered and it was believed to have been Jeff's. The police and the forensic team had done extensive research in the surrounding areas to see if they could find any evidence to support foul play or to find the culprit. Police officers spoke with Steve and Sarah and they wasn't happy with the account they gave. They came across nervous and evasive, which caused concern for the officers who called it into the investigation team. The final body part was found and now the investigation is spread over 4 counties. The investigation has gone cold. All the leads they have chased have been dead ends. The police now do another public announcement to try and get some more information and see if they can get any new leads. The police are still not happy with the account that Steve and Sarah made, so the police go back to the property to conduct a search. During the property search, the police uncovered a number plate in a wardrobe which belonged to Jeff. The police then left the property and recongregated a couple of days later. They were arrested on suspicion of murder. The police and the forensic team worked tireless to find evidence of the murder in the flat. Steve and Sarah were taken to the police station for questioning. The police had to work fast as they could, as they only had 24 hours to hold them to find compelling evidence. The flat wasn't proven to be the murder scene until the forensic team pulled up the carpets and moved around the furniture to discover large quantities of blood in the bedroom and the bathroom.
Do you deny or confirm that it's Jeffrey Howe?
No comment.
Do you recognise that person to be Jeffrey Howe?
No comment.
When he was being interviewed, he took up his right to make no do.
Are you surprised to learn that Jeffrey Howe's been murdered?
No comment.
How did you feel when you found that he'd been murdered?
No comment.
I feel upset by the fact that not only has he been murdered, but someone's chosen to dismember him and place parts of his body around the countryside.
No comment.
How does that make you feel?
No comment.
You've got no comment to make about that in any shape or form?
No comment.
Bearing in mind, obviously, people will be listening to this tape, and he's a friend of yours, and most people, I would say, would be quite shocked by the fact that someone's been killed and dismembered.
No comment.
He seemed really lost.
In what respect?
Just didn't know what to do with himself. Just said, have you got that money for the rent?
Both of them denied any implications in the murder or the whereabouts of Jeff. It wasn't until forensic analysis came back to tie both of those into the murder that he confessed. Sarah denies any involvement in the murder, but does admit that she did help dismember the body. The chillingness of the case was when the head and the other body parts were removed. They were removed to such an extent that you would have thought it was done by a hospital. When the head was removed from the body, the nose, eyes, ears, tongue was removed, the skin of his face was removed so he was not recognisable. They didn't just dismember the body, they disfigured the body. The police now had condemning evidence to convict the pair. On the 1st of May 2009, Steve and Sarah appeared at the Magistrates' Court. At the prosecution's request, it was adjourned until the 20th of January 2010. Steve pleaded guilty to murder and dismemberment. Sarah's charges were dropped and she was only charged for smaller crimes. Steve and Ned admitted to dismembering more bodies back in the gang in the 1990s. Sarah received a 3-year sentence and 9 months. Steve received life sentence, minimum of 36 years. I honestly don't know what possesses some people to kill, let alone dismember a body and disfigure them. That is beyond evil. The police even released a statement to say that they've never had a case so horrific ever in the history. My heart goes out to Jeffrey's family. I'm sorry for his loss, and I don't understand why people would be so cruel as to do things like that. As well as taking his life, they also fleeced him of £5,000. The day he was killed, they went on a shopping spree. They sold his car, they took his credit cards and maxed them out. They bought themselves phone, pizzas, shopping. They completely and utterly are a disgrace to the human race. They're evil. They didn't just take his life, they took his money, they took everything. People like that should not be allowed in the streets. I think both of them got too light of a sentence. They both should have got a harsher sentence. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe.